right now, 3 weeks ahead of the NFL draft, everybody's mind's on who Washington's going to take with that number 2 pick. You got Adam Schefter over here on his podcast saying that Washington's going with Jayden Daniels. You got LSU's head coach over there kind of tipping his cap a little bit, telling people what's going to happen. Who knows if any of this will add up to actually Daniels being drafted. Right now, it appears like it's down to at least a 3-man race with Jayden Daniels, Drake Maye, and then I don't know how it happened, but J.J. McCarthy somehow or another nosed his way into the conversation. Probably has a lot to do with Michigan, winning the national championship, with him only losing 1 game as a quarterback, with Jim Hardball coming in, of course, as the Chargers' new coach and immediately talking McCarthy up. It helps as well because Hardball has a voice that carries weight. And people were like, well, why didn't he trade Herbert and go after McCarthy if he loves him that much? Well, that's not going to happen. Harbaugh's a smart guy. He's a football guy. He knows that McCarthy, he's been on a team that's won a lot of football games, so he's coached that team, so he can talk him up, and people will be like, oh, wait a minute now, maybe this guy, we should take him a little bit more serious. And in the process, Hardball gets the guy that he's looking at 5 or whatever. He ups the value of the pick, maybe trades it off. Who knows? More than likely they'll pick a lineman there. Who knows what could end up happening though? Several things could change before here and there, 3 weeks out. But if you watch film of McCarthy, you'll see that he's a game managing quarterback, which a lot of people would probably prefer, a safe bet. But you should also notice that, in a few of those games that Michigan was cruising in the second half, he didn't play but maybe 1 or 2 possessions in the second half either. Those teams were loaded. They get to pile players on the sideline and have depth charts that you wouldn't even believe that the NFL cannot have. The college and pros is completely different. We all know that. But he has been playing in a pro system for the last couple years, and a lot of people put a lot of weight into that, especially playing for Hardball. As all of us know, that definitely translates into the NFL because Harbaugh's an NFL coach. Is he worth the number 2 pick? Well, that's a question a lot of people are probably asking themselves at this point right now. A few weeks back before the combine, I probably would have looked at you crazy, but his stock has definitely rose over the last month. And as that's kind of normal for quarterbacks. They're right before the draft. There's always a couple that shoot up the board. I personally don't have a favorite in this race right now. I'd like to see the burgundy and gold get back on top. It really doesn't bother me who the quarterback is as long as whoever they draft gets the job done. I do feel like Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels and maybe even McCarthy are guys that could perhaps step into a right type of system and do well to start with. They're definitely pro ready. They can hit the ground running. A guy like Drake Maye from UNC, he just had an offensive change just last year. They changed the offense on him, and it kind of showed itself in the stats. He didn't have as good of a year as he had the year before in a completely different system. And if you watch the film, that kid's full of talent, but he makes some odd choices, and his accuracy is a little off on some plays. That was the first thing that I noticed. Although I will say that he definitely is talented. You could see that the talent's there. I don't think that the Commanders have a shot at Caleb Williams. So that pretty much leaves Jayden Daniels. And I want to read a few lines from a coach in The Athletic. I tell people this: outside of Patrick Mahomes, I haven't coached against someone like this. He's just very hard to defend. We tried to force him to run it to take the ball out of his hands. The throws he makes, the timing he has, I thought that was second to none. He throws the deep ball extremely accurately. As a junior in 2022, he would just hang on to the ball. But he got so much better playing quarterback. Without him, with as bad as they were on defense, I think they'd win maybe 6 games, tops. If there's a concern, if you're an NFL team, it's that he'll take some shots and that he's narrow. How well will he hold up? He's improved a lot. He's a really good deep ball thrower with more than above average arm strength. Those 15 to 20 yard touch throws were better than I thought. He didn't look like he was that fast, but he just glides and runs by people and outruns their angles. Florida wasn't very good last year, but they still had team speed, and even when they had angles on him, he'd just run right past them. When you eyeball him before the game, he doesn't look very big, but he'd lower his shoulder and could take some punishment. You know, that statement right there says it all. Now, I've already gone over some of Daniel's film over on my YouTube channel. I'll link that. But I said that video that the main thing that bothered me was when he went out of the pocket, he has no thought pattern to trying to protect himself. That's the only thing that really bothers me. You know, the sliding is an afterthought. I mean, I'm just talking about getting out of bounds. I just saw him take some of the oddest straight on hard hits. Like, he will lay his shoulder in, like that coach said, and try to drive himself into opponents. The problem, of course, is a lot of times opponents are coming at him and they're bigger, maybe stronger, and they're hitting him with the same kind of force. And I'm just worried that maybe eventually that leads to something bad, right? And I'm taking some heat over that topic. You know, people saying, oh, please, you know, like the pocket passers get hurt too. And look, I get it. The point I was trying to make when I was saying that is that his game is rock solid in every other aspect. He's got an unbelievable arm. You know, maybe he doesn't have this cannon that can throw it 90 yards, but he can throw a very accurate deep ball, one that, you know, has me kind of excited for what maybe he has in store for the future. And when he can't find something down the field, he can pull the ball down and take off with it. And that should make everybody excited as long as he can protect himself in the process. You know, a lot of people comparing him to Lamar Jackson, and I guess that is the comparison in the league, you know, with a guy that can throw and run. I personally don't like comparing players, but hey, it is what it is. I think they're comparing Drake Maye to Justin Herbert. And I said before, I don't think Herbert has the wheels that Maye has. But I would rather see the player prove it on the field rather than get compared to somebody. But I could see what people get comparisons from with these guys. You know, as far as who Washington should, take with the number 2 pick in the draft, I think they've kind of painted themselves into a corner where they have to take a quarterback with one of those top 2 picks. They have to. They have no choice. And maybe there's a scenario where they could trade a little bit further back into the first round, or trade back up. If they were to take a quarterback, they could trade back up, take a lineman. Maybe there's a scenario like that they could play out, but probably they're going to take a quarterback at number 2. If you held my feet to the fire right now, I think it's probably going to be Jayden Daniels, but I wouldn't be surprised if they went with Drake Maye. If they go with McCarthy, I will be completely blown away.